Okay, so we are rolling down the road on my little Ironhead Sportster. Side note, I'm actually wearing my own merch, wearing my Ironhead shirt today. I'm Iron-On. Surprisingly, or perhaps unsurprisingly, because it is actually some really great art, that's actually been my most popular shirt on the web store, so thanks to everybody who's ever bought one of those. And yeah, it's a nice day here at my house. See, it's a little overcast. It was raining this morning, cleared up and looking like it might rain again. They're calling for rain for the next few days, so I figured I'd go put some more miles on the bike and talk to y'all for a few minutes. There actually isn't like a point to this video. I know that sounds weird, but there isn't a topic, you know. A lot of times on this channel, I will pick a topic and we'll talk about it, whether it's at home, at the shop, sitting down and talking, or riding around on the bike talking. But I've realized like two things over this last week. And you know, the two things that I've realized were, one, I haven't done a video kind of catching y'all up on my life, like me and where I'm at, what I'm doing, and what's going on in my life, and what's going on with my shop, and what's going on with my business and this YouTube channel. And the other thing that I've realized is, some of y'all might have figured this out by now, but there's only so many of us that are doing like Harley YouTube in like this sphere, you know, that's focused mostly on vintage Harleys or old Harleys or retro Harleys or old school or whatever moniker you want to attach to these machines. There's only so many of us doing this, right? And so we talk. A lot of us folks who have YouTube channels, we talk to each other, and it's great. Like, it's a community. And we help each other fix our bikes over the phone or online, or just give each other feedback on videos, or bounce ideas off each other, hang out with each other when we can. And so I was talking with Hippie over at Hippie Shopper Corner. We talk a lot. Great dude. You also check out his channel if you don't already watch him. And Hippie said something to me the other day, man, on the phone. He said something along the lines of, Paul, you got to remember that there's a lot of people who watch your channel just to watch you. Like, they're tuning in to my channel. I'll look at all those crows. I don't know how well that comes through on camera. Look at them all. Whole murder of crows. Side note, I used to actually help, my grandparents' neighbor was a professor, or still is a professor, of animal biology and animal behavior for CCSU. And she would participate in the Cornell Ornithology Lab's annual crow count in East Hartford. There's this huge, like, super murder of crows. It's like 150,000, 200 crows, something crazy like that, that comes and descends into the city, and they like live in the city in Hartford and East Hartford for like a month or so in the winter time. And I used to go help her count the crows. Counting crows is a real thing, not just a 90s band. Anyways, I'm squirrel braining, man. I'm way off in left field. Hippie was like, dude, there's people who watch your channel just for you. And I'm like, yeah, I never thought about that, but it's true. So thank you. Like, I appreciate that there's people out there in this world who think that what I'm doing and the way that I'm living my life is worth watching, because that's what y'all get on this channel, is just like my daily real life. So yeah, I just thought I'd ride around a little and catch y'all up on what Paul's been up to and what Butt Crack Cycles has been up to here lately, and also like where we're going, what's the future hold, the near future hold, that y'all will get to see on this YouTube channel. So what have I been up to? Well, if you are a longtime viewer of this channel, you will know that I work for myself. I've been self-employed now for almost 4 years. January of 26 will be 4 years that I quit my job and went to go work for myself. And for the majority of that time, my like main gig has been heavy duty diesel repair. So 18 wheelers and, you know, some equipment, you know, bulldozers and dump trucks and skid steers and farm stuff, ag stuff, you know, farm tractors and stuff like that. And then in July of 2022, I was working on bikes just like on my own, working on my own stuff. I was buying and flipping some Harleys, and I wasn't really working on bikes for anybody else. I was mostly just working on my own stuff and flipping bikes. And I started making YouTube videos about that. And I made an LLC. So Butt Crack Cycles is a federally registered LLC and has been since July of 2022. And since then, it's kind of been, you know, like a side gig almost for me. But I'm starting to make that like my main thing, right? And that's pretty cool. And I'm pretty excited about that. And so I figured we'd spend a few minutes talking about that while we ride and knock the idle down on the Ironhead again. And I often stop right there at that stop sign to pull the idle down. So over the last couple of years, you know, I've been slowly taking on some work for customers, but it's really only been like the last 6 months or so that I've actually been advertising and trying to get more work for customers. And some of these people are finding me through word of mouth. I've had several customers over the last probably year and a half or so who have found me from YouTube or Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram too if you want. Yeah, like I've been slowly starting to work on other people's stuff to the point that now I'm working like 2 to 3 days a week every week on motorcycles. And I actually made last month more money between YouTube, like YouTube revenue, sales from the web store, and customers' bikes than I did working on diesel stuff. And part of that's because I've been pushing more into the bike work. But there's a reason for that. The first is that I care a lot more about the motorcycle stuff than I do like that Freightliner coming the other way. It's not that I dislike working on diesel engines. I've been doing that full time for the last 15 years, actually a little longer than that. I'm good at it. I've got a good reputation. There's a lot of people here who know me and know my name. But the problem is that world has changed so much in the last decade, and it hasn't changed for the better for like a small one-man mobile diesel service guy like myself. 10 years ago, owner-operators, as far as on-highway trucks are concerned, and small grading companies were like my bread and butter. There were still a lot of those guys out there, and it would just be like a guy with one truck and one skid steer, and that would be his entire business. And so you might have 20 of those guys in a given month that they all need like one small thing fixed, and that would get you by for the whole month, and everything would be good. But slowly that has started to change. Owner-operators for on-highway trucks have been rapidly getting pushed out of that market, out of that business over the last 5 to 10 years by these really big trucking companies. And these big companies buy fleet trucks, and they have company drivers and company mechanics. You know, I could go on about that. There's some politics and stuff involved in that, but whatever. This isn't the time or the place for that, not this channel. But these big companies are just cutting the throats on the rates on what they'll haul stuff for, and the owner-operators are getting pushed out of that market, and the ports are requiring newer trucks. And so you got these guys who are either getting just their throats cut on on rates that they can't compete with, or their trucks are too old to like haul, you know, freight out of a port, and they can't afford to go buy a brand new truck, and they can't afford the maintenance on one of the brand new trucks with the tier 4 final emissions with the DEF and everything. And the big fleets don't care about that. They'll buy, you know, 50 trucks all at once, put 300,000 miles on them, and then sell them before they have any like real major emissions problems. But an individual owner operator can't do that. And so the result for me is that the on-highway truck market, whereas 5 years ago I was in framing a cat engine basically every other weekend while still working a full-time job, those days are long gone. And now you go work on a guy's truck or a guy's skid steer, and you end up chasing those guys for money, you know. And I'm just sick of that. Like, that's my biggest thing about why I'm trying to get away from the diesel work and do more motorcycle stuff, other than the fact that I am more passionate about the bikes. Like, I live and breathe and eat and sleep and dream about these things, and I don't follow trucking pages or construction pages on Instagram. I follow motorcycle pages. Like, this is where my heart's at, and what gets me excited and gets my blood pumping. And yeah, I'm just sick of going to fix something for a guy, and it's amazing the difference between customers. You go fix something for a guy and it's his livelihood. Like I said, it's his skid steer that he needs to finish the job that he's on right now, and you hand him a $600 bill after you've driven an hour round trip to go save the day, and you repair his machine, and you know, you burned fuel in your own truck and wear and tear on your truck, and you fronted him $200 part, and then you used your $1,000 laptop with $4,000 worth of diagnostic tools on it, software and stuff, because you got to have software for all the manufacturers if you want to do this. Cat, Cummins, Detroit, International, whatever. And you go save the day, and you hand him a $600 bill, and he says, man, I don't have any money right now. I got to finish this job that I'm on to get paid, and then when I get paid, I can pay you. And then you turn around that same week and you finish a $600 job on a Harley, and you call the guy and you say, hey man, your bike's done. And the bike's a play toy, right? Like, we all agree on that. It's not anyone's livelihood, it's a play toy. And you hand him a bill for $600, and he says, I'm on the way. As soon as I can get my wife to give me a ride, I'm coming to pick my baby up. Thank you so much for fixing it. Here's the cash, dude. Thank you so much. I'm so happy. And that is such more of an it's so much more refreshing to deal with that. So from that perspective, I've broke ground on a shop at the house. I've kind of been teasing this some in some of my other videos, but I broke ground on a shop at the house. I pushed in a second driveway. I've applied for my permits and everything with the county. You know, I'm dealing with the county, and got my guy out there. He's supposed to start digging footers and forming up for the monolithic slab in a few days here. He came by the house today with the concrete subcontractor to check it out, and I made the deposit onto the building. It's just a metal building. I made that deposit I think the second week of August, and I'm filming this at the end of September, so the building should be done being manufactured here within the next week or two. So hopefully by the end of October or mid-November at the latest, I will have a metal building sitting on a concrete slab behind my house. That's going to open the door to a whole lot of things for me and my life. We're going to go down the dirt road. Dirt's always fun. I like riding dirt. Maybe an unpopular opinion, but a little dirt never hurt, right? Haha, slid the back tire out right there already. Fun. Yeah, so I'll have a whole lot more space, and eventually I'll make that shop really nice. I'm gonna put like a mini split Mr. Cool or something in there. I've installed several of those for friends and family and stuff. Helped put them in. They're really not bad to do. And so you know, that's gonna give me the space to be able to advertise even more and start going around to bike nights and hand out business cards. and such. And you know, I've found over the last few months of having been taking on some more customer work that there's definitely a market for this. The dealer here will not touch a bike that's older than 10 years old. And most of the independents, there's only really like one independent here that does a lot of work. But most of the independents here, let's go left, I can't remember where the other end of the dirt road goes. I think that dead ends into someone's property, or else I would have kept going. Been a while since I've been down that road. Anyways, the one independent that's here in town, they'll work on older Harleys, but even like an Evo now, they're not really touching those anymore. They'll work on, you know, twin cams, and they'll throw a set of tires on an Evo or do like a service, but they're not doing any work beyond that. So that's a refrain I've been hearing from my customers is, hey man, nobody works on this stuff. I can't find anyone to work on this stuff. I'm so glad I found you. Geez, this road sucks. And so yeah, I think that I'll find that I'll end up fairly busy, and I would also like to continue to buy and fix and flip bikes. And so all of this applies to the channel in that the content that I'm going to make is going to end up being a little bit different. Y'all will start to see some more Evo stuff and some more twin cam stuff. Doesn't mean that you're not going to see Ironhead. I'm riding my Ironhead. Doesn't mean that you're not going to see Shovelhead, but you'll start to see a little bit newer stuff. I actually have like, I don't know, 3 or 4 episodes already filmed of some twin cam work I've done over the last month or two. I just haven't gotten it published to YouTube. Cowboys boiled peanuts. I bet those are good. And so yeah, y'all are gonna see a little bit of a change in some of the bikes, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I get a lot of requests from people. I think there's a lot of folks who watch my channel and they enjoy the Shovelhead and they enjoy the Ironhead content, but they don't have those bikes. I think there's a lot of guys who watch my channel, and I know there are, because I get these comments a lot from people who say, hey Paul, I love watching you work on this old stuff. I would love to have something like that, but you know, I'm not mechanically inclined enough, so I'm super happy just riding my 2003 twin cam. And I wish you would do some more videos on bikes like mine. So if that's you, if you're someone who's been writing, hey, more Evo, more twin cam content, don't worry, that's coming. The other thing that I think y'all can expect here in the next like 6 to 8 months is for me to continue doing 2 videos a week. This is something that I started doing, I guess probably about close to 2 months ago now, honestly, if I stop and think about it. And I wasn't sure that I was going to be able to keep it up. I told myself I'd only do it if I enjoyed doing it, and I would only do it if it didn't feel like, you know, too much work. And it hasn't. This actually has felt just totally fine, and I've been keeping up with it and staying on top of it, and my channel has taken off more than it would as a result of that. And so I'm gonna try and keep doing 2 episodes a week for the foreseeable near future. Sundays at 1 p.m. and then Wednesdays at like, I don't know, 6:30 or 7 p.m. is usually when I put my Wednesday episodes up. But hopefully, I kind of hope to find this rhythm where if I'm not working on bikes 5 days a week, maybe it's 3 to 4 days a week, and that there's a day in there that I can dedicate just to my own stuff, that hopefully I'll be able to be making enough working on other folks' bikes and buying and fixing and flipping bikes, plus like, you know, YouTube revenue, that I'll be able to take like 1 day a week to work on my own projects, because I think y'all really enjoy seeing that. I know there's a lot of people who, yeah, they like they like the how to put a stator in a Sportster, or how to change intake seals, or whatever it might be. But I think more than that, people like to see, what's Paul doing? What's Butt Crack doing? What's he doing with that orange shovel head, etc. And I've got a little Evo Sportster that I bought like 3 years ago as a project bike, and I just pushed it to the side. I haven't really touched it, but I pushed it out of my building the other day to make room for another bike, and I'll get to that other bike here in a second. And man, I forgot just how tough that thing looks sitting on the ground. It's a 96 1200. It has a set of the Hog Halter International, I think is what that company's called, HHI triple trees, like the 5-degree raked triple trees. I think the forks are like 2 over, and then it has a 21-inch front wheel in it. So it's got a pretty cool, like, chopper style gangster lean, even though it is still a swing arm bike. And I've got a sick set of like this pinkish purple tin set tank and fenders for that bike. Those are off of an earlier bike. They're off of like a 92 or a 93. And if you know those Evo Sportsters really well, the tank mount changed in 94, and the fender strut situation changed, I think, in the same year. So this stuff's actually a little too early to go on that 96 frame, but I'll make it fit. And so yeah, I think that's going to be, you know, the purple people eater, and be a pretty sweet little bike that I'll eventually sell. And I've even had some thoughts, I've given some thoughts to perhaps raffling that bike off as a giveaway here on the internet. Oof, I missed that hole. I didn't miss it, I got all of that hole. I missed dodging it is what I meant. So I don't know, just a thought there. Maybe that'll turn into a raffle bike. Even though I already know it's going to happen, I'm going to fall in love with the thing and want to keep it, right? And then back to that bike that I mentioned that I was pushing the future purple people eater out for. It's not here yet as I'm filming this. By the time y'all watch this, it will be here. And it's something that's never been on this channel. Not only has this particular bike never been on this channel, but this particular model of Harley has never been on this channel, as far as, like, you know, what engine it is. And it's going to be a long-term project, but I hope to have it finished by the end of the winter. And I don't really want to say too much more about it other than that. I will tease the bike probably in a short sometime here soon, and then y'all will get a couple of videos of it over the next few months of me fixing it up. This is a bike that is very important to me. It's not a customer's bike, not in the sense of some random person has brought it to me. This is a family piece, and a bike that's been in my family for longer than I've been alive. And that's all I'm going to say about it. I don't want to let too much of that secret away quite yet. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in my life. I've been really busy, which is good, and I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for anybody who's ever brought me a bike to work on. I'm thankful for everybody who watches this channel. I'm thankful for everybody who I've gotten to meet in person. And yeah, I'm thankful that I get to live my life kind of on my terms and in my way. Even though I don't make a ton of money, that's fine. It doesn't really matter. Like, I'm enjoying it, and I love what I do every single day. And I'm just kind of working steadily and slowly, and in many ways here over the last few months, kind of in silence and in the background, to love what I do every day even more than I already do. Because that's what it's all about. Shit in the road. Yeah, someone's gonna fuss at me for my aggressive riding right there, I'm sure, but whatever, they'll get over it. Nissan Altima with no side view mirror, cool. yeah, you know, that's what it's all about, is just waking up and like actually enjoying your life. And I've talked about this some on this channel. Man, I'm gonna get a contact high from this car in front of me. You can smell the weed coming out of the car. Hell yeah. But I've talked about this some before on this channel. You know, I quit a job. There was a pretty good paying job. It's the best paying job I've ever had. I was a field service mechanic on high voltage industrial generator sets for a cat dealer. And they paid me well, but I worked all the time. I worked guaranteed overtime every single week. I often worked 6 and 7 days a week. I was on call 24/7. I never saw my family, or at least I didn't see them as much as I wanted to. And honestly, for what they paid me, I really don't think that they were paying me enough for the amount of money that they billed out under my employee number. And when you're doing things like they would send me 3 hours away to go fix a problem that one of the other techs couldn't figure out. If I'm that guy, then I need to be getting that guy's pay. Yeah, so I had a lot of reasons why I quit that job. I mostly was just unhappy. I woke up in the morning and didn't like my life, and I didn't like the man looking back at me in the mirror. And so I changed it. So thanks for everybody who watches this channel. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for being a part of my little life. Thanks for everybody who's ever bought a shirt. Thanks for everybody who's ever brought me their bike to work on. And that clutch is still slipping a little. Man, I adjusted it yesterday and it seemed like it was doing better, but not good enough. So better slow down. There's the highway, man. Don't wave at me, buddy. I know I was going too fast. Don't give me a ticket. Anywho's, yeah, just I appreciate each and every one of y'all, and I realize this probably hasn't been the most entertaining episode. Probably hasn't been, or probably won't be an episode that gets a lot of views or a lot of clicks or whatever you call it, and I really don't care. I just felt like riding my bike, and I felt like catching y'all up on where I'm at and what I'm doing, and where I'm going, because y'all are like in many ways along for the ride. So I have rambled enough. I feel like this is probably too long of an episode. I love to yap. All right, that's it. Let's shut her down right here. Y'all have a good day, have a good week, enjoy your life. If you're not happy with your life, get up off the couch and do something about it. Life is too short to just hope and that, you know, one day things will get better, because you got to work for it, and nobody's coming to save you, so you got to save yourself. Something that someone told me a long time ago, and it's absolutely been true. I've had a lot of friends, I'm 36 right now, I've had a lot of friends who didn't make it to 36, and I've also buried a lot of people who, you know, died in their 40s or 50s or even their 60s, which doesn't seem that old anymore. It did when I was 18, but you know, 40's not that old anymore to me. 50s, 60s really not either. And I hope I get to make it that long, but just in case I don't, I would much rather, you know, at the end of my life, I would much rather say, hey, I'm glad I tried, I'm glad I went for it, versus saying, I wonder what would have happened if I did. I wish that I had done this. I wish that I had done that. So that's Paul's little life philosophy for the end of this video. Thanks to everybody who watches this channel. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Bye.